Let's talk about adding and subtracting large numbers. The reality is if you can add small numbers or you can subtract small numbers, you can do it to big numbers. But let's start off with an example. Let's say I wanted to add 4,251 plus 337. Now, probably up to this point, you've seen addition problems laid out like this, where it's just left to right and you're expected to give an answer. But what we're gonna actually do when we're adding large numbers is we're going to stack them like so. We're gonna consider place values in alignment with each other. So the 1 and the 7, they make up the ones place. We're gonna put them right next to each other. Same with the 5 and 3 are the tens, 2 and the 3 are the hundreds, and so forth and so on. But the way that I would do this after I stack them is I would just go from right to left, top to bottom. 1 plus 7 is 8, and so I'm gonna write 8 right below those two numbers. 5 plus 3, also 8. 2 plus 3, that's 5. And then there's an imaginary 0 right here, because there's 0 in the thousands place of this number. 4 plus 0, that's just 4. So my answer is 4,588 to that first problem. But let's consider maybe a second example. Let's say we want to do 5,483 plus 3,241. How would we do this? Well, it's the same process. We're going to go from right to left, top to bottom, and we can start plus 3 plus 1 is equal to 4, but then we get an interesting case. We get 8 plus 4, well, that's 12. And up to this point, we've only written single digit numbers, but if I write 12 down here, I run into a little bit of an issue. What happens when I want to add 4 and 2 and I have a 1 already in this spot? Well, what we're going to do is something called carrying the 1. We're going to take this 1, and instead of writing it down here, we're going to place it right up there. That's called carrying the 1. And what we do now is we add all three of these numbers together. So I'm going to add 1 plus 4 plus 2. That gets me 7. And then I can continue my process. 5 plus 3 is 8. So my answer is 8,724. Let's do one more of those types of examples. Let's say I want to do 76,395 plus 3,738. How would we do this? Well, we're actually just going to do the same thing. 5 plus 8, that's 13. But remember, instead of writing the 13 down here, we're going to write 13 like this by carrying the 1. And now you'll notice I'm going to add 1 plus 9 plus 3. That gets me 13, so I'm going to carry the 1 again. Repeat the process now. If you're tracking with me, I'm doing this right here. I'm going to do 1 plus 3 plus 7. That actually gets me 11. So write down the 1, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7 plus 3 is 10. So I'm going to write a 0, carry the 1, and I get an 8 down there. My answer is 80,133. Let's talk about doing subtraction now, kind of the reverse process of this. How do we do subtraction with large numbers? Well, we'll start off easy. Let's do 8,564 minus 6,322. This time we're doing subtraction, so I'm going to write a minus sign there. But the process is very similar. I'm going to do 4 minus 2, and this time I'll get 2. I'm going to do 6 minus 2, and I get 4. 5 minus 3, that's 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. So my answer, plain and simple, is 2,242. Let's complicate this a little bit though. What if it was 5,836 minus 475? How would we do this? Well, we're going to start off just the same, right? 6 minus 5, that's 1. But now what I have is I have 3 minus 7. And if you know, that's actually equal to -4. So we have a little bit of an issue here. We're going to do something kind of fancy, but not super complicating. We are going to, as they say, borrow from the next place value over. So in this case, the 8. I'm going to borrow 1 from this 8. So if I'm borrowing 1, I'm going to turn this into a 7, and I'm going to make this guy 13. So right now, it'll look like this. I'm going to cross out the 8 and make it a 7, and I'm going to turn this into 13. I'm just going to treat this as a big, funny looking 13. And now what I have is I have 13 minus 7, that is 6. Then I can proceed. I have now 7 minus 4, that gets me 3, and I can just bring down the 5, and so my answer is 5,361. Let's do one more. Let's do 3,006 minus 208. How would we do this? Now this one is pretty tricky because when we go to borrow, if I'm doing 6 minus 8, I'm going to need to borrow there. I have nothing until this 3 right here. I can't exactly borrow from nothing because it's nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow all the way over from this 3. Watch this. I'm going to turn the 3 into a 2. And I'm going to give the 1 to this 10 right here. But I'm going to borrow again, make it a 9, turn this 0 into a 10, and now I can borrow from this guy and make it a 16. So let's try this. We got 16 minus 8, that's 8. 9 minus 0, that's 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring down this final 2, and there's my answer. It's 2,798.